that was my little soaping buddy I just showed you. Jenkins will just sit in that chair the whole time I soap. These are the ingredients I'm going to use in my soap. Today it is goat's milk, oatmeal, and honey soap. I'm using my usual blend of oils. I'm not changing my recipe except for using milk instead of the water. I am using fresh, like real oats, not instant oats, that I ground in my magic bullet. A little bit of clay, honey water that I've microwaved to make it flow. I used essential oils. My essential oils are clove and orange. I like that mixture. I've made this soap before and it's always worked out well. You're going to see today that it didn't work out the way I expected it, but it's still a nice soap. So here I am making my milk and lye mixture. This takes me, I start from ice cubes, and it takes 30 minutes to 40 minutes to do this. You can see that orange, the small Pyrex that's orange? That's milk that I've previously made. I'm going to make a 2-pound batch with this. The reason I love this soap, and I'll always make it, is I get these bumps on my arm called keratosis pilaris. It's genetic, and this soap makes them go away. I've had no luck with anything else. So keep checking. Right now my oils were 90. My water is 121 Fahrenheit. My milk mixture. I've let my milk get hotter here than I usually do. I probably added my lye a bit too fast. That little Pyrex container that went orange, it will also smell a bit like ammonia at that point. So I kind of pushed it in adding the lye a bit too fast to my milk. You see how my paper towel there is wet? That's because I haven't been spilling things. I have put, when the little one started to go orange, everything went out in the snow for a few minutes to cool down. So that's snow melt there. So I'm mixing up my oils, making sure they're well blended before I add the milk lye mixture. I'm going to bring everything to a very thin trace, and then I just add everything at once. A little bit of the essential oil. The 2-pound mixture, I'm not going to add the oatmeal to. It is for the topping, and in this soap, I did a little swirl for a little bit of whimsy and interest in the soap. This is the first time I did that. I thought I would just make the soap have a little bit of something interesting instead of just plain batter inside. Turned out to be a bad idea. So you're going to see a part 2, making of oatmeal milk and honey part 2 coming up soon, where Megan doesn't do what she does. But that's why we do things, to see maybe if you can improve on something that you've just, been doing the same old way year after year, or sometimes what we think is an improvement turns out to be a kind of a bad idea. So here I'm blending up my little 2-pound mixture. It's for the swirl and the topping. I'm going to build up my 4-pound mold a little bit and add some embeds later. Now I'm going to make my 4-pound mixture. I give my oils a blast just to mix them. These are all, I just use veggie oils. I don't use the common oils that people are allergic to. I don't use almond. I definitely don't use peanut. I don't use sunflower. I just use basic oils that very few people are allergic to. However, I have met people who are allergic to coconut oil, so I have to apologize to them because I'm sorry. Every single thing I make has coconut oil in it because I like the suds. I like sudsy soaps. So I'm ready to emulsify my larger 4-pound batch. So again, I mentioned those bumps on my arms. I've had them, or this is past tense. I had them from the time I was a teenager. And what I have learned in my research on that is that that is genetic. It's, genetic and hormonal. And I have tried in the past everything I read. I would try everything. One was diet. I read once to eat pineapple every day, and that would make them go away. Here I'm adding the honey water. That is nice, pure liquid honey. I added just a little bit of distilled water, and I decided there to add some to that small batch. That's okay. And I just microwaved it for probably 30 seconds just to get it pourable, liquid, so it would blend well with my soap. Okay, so back to my arms. So I tried everything. Pineapple was recommended, and other diets were recommended. At one point, covering your arms in coconut oil every night when you went to bed was recommended. So I tried that. I just bought coconut oil, and every night I put my fingers in the coconut oil container and slathered on my arms. No change, nothing worked. However, when I first made this soap, because I try every soap out myself, I'm a very good guinea pig because I have very sensitive skin. I'm adding the oats now. So I was very happy when I tried this soap to see that these stupid, ugly bumps on my arms finally went away. And as long as I use this soap, they don't come back. So even if this soap never sold to customers, I would always make this soap for myself because this is one soap I always use. I've had customers tell me, they'll come up and they'll say, I want to buy more soap, but I haven't used up the soap I have. You know what? But I have 2 soap dishes on my bathtub. I think I currently have 6 soaps going. So you can have more than 1 bar of soap. No one told you could only use 1 soap, right? So I've got a spearmint one, and I've got always oatmeal milk and honey. I have the carrot one, I have coffee one, tea and ginger. I think those are all the ones I have right now. I don't wait till they're used up. But of course, that's because it's free for me. Here's I added just a little bit of that clay just to give the soap some substance, just a touch of clay, some skin conditioning, and it like I've mentioned is working for me. I love this soap. So here I'm just making sure it's all well mixed with my stick blender. There's my orange essential oil, and I'm going to make sure I get it all. And then the other one is clove. So I've read that clove accelerates trace, and I have never had that happen to me. I've used clove oil in my cappuccino soap, in my coffee soap. That's all I use in my coffee soap is clove, and not very much. Clove goes a long way. And I use clove in this soap, and I love the smell, and it has never accelerated my trace. It might be the temperature. I soap at lower temperature. I know my milk was too hot here, but my oils were only 90, so that's not too bad. So I'm getting everything well mixed, and then we'll get my mold out and get started pouring. I'm ready to go now. We have my lined mold with freezer paper. I'm stirring up my main batter with the oatmeal and the honey and the clay in it. It's a thicker batter. I'm going to put that one in first, and then I'm going to swirl in the one in the smaller Pyrex, which does not have oatmeal. I mainly made that one for the topping because it has a kind of a, ooh, what a big mess. Yeah, that one has like an orangey honey look, and I'm going to use that for the topping. So, sloppy mess. That's why I have paper towels everywhere. I'm really good for the paper industry. Not just in this, but in the other parts of my life. I do lots of artwork and crafts. I use a lot of paper. So I'm good for BC. BC should love me. And recycling companies. So got a bit of drop swirl. Now I'm doing the top. Now this, to me, has a real honey look. I want a real honeycomb honey look on top. That's what I'm trying for. So I was just building it up. I probably should have just let this get a bit thicker, but I'm in a kind of a rush to get it in the freezer. I don't want this to gel because I don't like the look of milk soaps that have gelled. They're just not as pretty. It's just, that's my taste, my own aesthetics taste, that I think the soaps look prettier if you don't let them go through gel phase. So I'm kind of impatient to get this in the freezer. I have one of those freezers that's on the bottom of the fridge. You know, it's a drawer that you pull out. So I have an empty spot where the soaps fit perfect in there. Now this is, you've likely seen this before or heard of this. To get a honeycomb look on your soap, you use some bubble wrap. So I'm just patting my bubble wrap in place. It's pretty easy, just pat, pat, pat. For me, it didn't need to be perfect at all. So this is kind of a rough, artsy look on top of my soap. I'm not into perfection. I'm into the handcrafted look. Now that I poke and feel my honeycomb is as perfect as I wanted it to be, I just get my honey topping as fixed in place as I can. Clean up the sides. And then I have embeds that I've made. I'm going to put the link to where I got this mold. These are little bumblebees. I'm sorry, that's a bit blurry. I got these off Etsy. And the Etsy store I bought from has I think it was a get 4 molds, get 1 free. And this is my choice in my comments. She said, just tell me what you're interested in the comments. It's a wonderful little store. So here I picked out the bumblebee because I had this in mind. So I've never done this before, adding my little bumblebee in there. So I had to take my gloves off. It's, you know, it's difficult to do embeds with gloves. But my hands, I waitressed for 8 years in my past, so my hands are pretty tough. So here we go, 1 week later. This took a long time to cure. I kept checking on it every day and poking it, and it was still too soft. Here, I've cut off the end to check on it. So I really like that. See, that's like a real honey look inside. I believe this went through gel phase. So, mistake I made was I had that milk and lye mixture. I added the lye too fast. It was too hot. Honey, every time you have sugars, it can put your soap into gel phase. Sometimes you just can't avoid it, even if you've got this in the freezer. So that looks to me what happened. This is not the look I wanted. It's too brown, not a pink, light, not a yellow honey look. So, but it's soap is soap. It's still a good soap. So I'm going to cut them with my crinkle cutter. I use the crinkle cutter for all my goat's milk soaps to give it this more rustic homestead kind of look. I'm cutting these quite thick. I was finding them to be crumbly, so I was worried about cutting them thinner, You see the bottom there? It's crumbly and there's oozing. It's kind of oozy oil coming out of it. I am quite lucky and happy that that all went away with time. There's some, even though I pounded this down, there's some air pockets in it. There's this orange oozing oil and it's crumbly. But after a week of curing, this all looks much better. So this is why you're going to have part 2. In part 2, I am going to make the following changes. My milks will be colder. My goat milk and lye mixture. I will control it and it will be colder, about 85 to 90. See that oozing and the crumble on the bottom. But I cleaned that up and it looks much better now. What other changes? I am not going to use orange essential oil. Now, I've heard other people talk about a better quality orange, but I like to support my local health food store, so I'm going to go there and probably pick out bergamot or something else that will go with the clove, not orange. That was the problem, I think, was the poor quality of my orange essential oil. And what other changes? I'm not going to do the drop swirl. I'm just going to have the batter in the main body of the soap. And see here this sideways cut? I like that. I am, even though I butchered that one, I'm going to do everything next time with this sideways cut that I'm doing right now. I like that look. And there you have it, my oatmeal milk and honey. Thanks for watching and see you next time.